have two types of carburetors. You have the slide style carburetor, and then you have the rotary style. This is a rotary style here, and by that you see it's got a little arm, and when the arm goes side to side, what it does is it opens and closes the opening for the carburetor, allowing more air and fuel to get in it. Now, to take the carburetor off, typically there's like a set screw right here. For this purpose, I'm just going to go ahead and use a nut driver to loosen it up. And once I loosen that up, I should be able to just pop the carburetor off just like I did. Again, when I'm cleaning my engine, unless, you know, the carburetor, like I said, has been sitting for a while, or it just needs a complete deep cleaning, keeping the needles on there is going to be suffice. You can take the drive shaft out. It can be a little bit tricky. Baking it will help, heating it up, and some people will just tap it down and you know, pull it out. And then in there you have your bearings if you ever want to change your bearings out. But again, this video here is just focused solely on cleaning it. So, with that said, let's talk about cleaning it. This is the fun part. Cleaning it is a very simple process. All you need is some contact cleaner like this Dynamite Magnum Force 2 or Nitro Clean or something to that effect. And then from there, you just go through and you spray down each of your parts. Okay, you just go through and you give them a real good spraying. I'm not going to spray a whole lot because I don't want to waste much of my contact cleaner, because again, this is, you know, kind of a test engine here, and it already is fairly clean, as you can see. But that's really it. You just go through. Don't be afraid to spray it all over the place, including your carburetor. It's all over your carburetor. Okay, so you just go through, you spray it, and then you allow them to dry. Now, after you've cleaned it, at this point, it's simply a matter of just putting it all back. And I've placed the carburetor back on there. I've tightened up the set screw. The next thing that you're going to want to do is take the piston and place it back inside of its housing. Now, one of the questions that you might be asking is, which way does the piston go? Well, there's a few ways to look at this. One, it's got this little cut right here, and that's always going to face the front of your drive shaft. Okay, so see the little cutout right there? That's going to face the front. So what we're going to do is we're going to place this back in, and we're going to connect this back on to the drive shaft. And this right here is one of those pieces that can be a little tricky, but I was able to get it back on. Hopefully you're able to see it relatively easily. Okay. The next thing after that is you're going to want to put your sleeve back on. Same thing. Which direction do you put your sleeve back on? And I'm going to tell you, it's very important that you put your sleeve back on in the proper way that it came out. And there's a trick for learning that. But the reason it's so important, once again, is because of these ports here. You have your intake ports and your relief ports and whatnot. And this is essentially how fuel gets in, air gets in, fuel gets out, etc., etc. So it's very important that it goes on in the correct manner. And the best way to determine this is on your sleeve, you're going to see a little bit of an indentation right there. Okay, you can see right there on the top of your sleeve. And on your combustion chamber gasket, more likely than not, there's going to be a little bit of a notch, if you will, right there you can see. And that's, you just want to line those up. So what you want to do is make sure that when, and you're going to have to kind of wiggle your piston around. Hopefully you guys can see that, but it goes in right as such. And you want to make sure that the little notch on your sleeve gets lined up with that pin on top of the combustion chamber. that is the surefire way to let you know that you have the sleeve put on back correctly. After that, your next challenge is going to be putting on your one-way bearing and your starter shaft and the back plate. That's very simple. On your one-way bearing, and the reason they call it a one-way bearing, because on your starter shaft it only turns one way. So I can turn it this way all I want, but if I turn it this way, it's actually going to turn the bearing. On this bearing, it's easy for me to see because these indentations right here go onto the drive pin. But the writing that you see, so right here, if you look, the writing that you see, and again, that might be very difficult, goes on the outside. Someone gave me that tip a long time ago, and that's really helped me. So for this here, what I'm going to do is I'm essentially going to line up one of these grooves right here with the pin that you can see sticking out. I need to get a screwdriver right here. With this pin sticking out right here. So this one's actually, in my opinion at least, pretty easy to do. And it's important, as I mentioned, to make sure that you get your back plate on flush. From there you just get your starter shaft, put that back on there, and then one good test is to just spin your starter shaft and make sure that your piston is moving as such. Then it's a matter if you have shims, which I don't in this instance, just again a test engine. Put your shims back on, your button head back on, cooling head back on, screw it together, and you're done. Anyways, gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully it gave you an idea of engines and how they work and how to clean them. As I mentioned, do not be afraid to get in there, mix it up, keep them clean, keep them running. Have a great day, and we'll chat with you later. Thanks so much. Bye.